by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Good morning, Sam. Welcome back to the broadcast booth. How you doing?
Great. It's a short week this week.
It is a short week. I was a little sad missing you and Grant on Monday and Tuesday, but you're back now, so that makes life all better.
I'm sure you managed just fine on
I
your
did
own.
what I could. I didn't offend too many people, I think. So
Had a lot of call-ins. That's awesome.
Yes, yeah, it was great to have David Kenyon on the show. Simon Mitchell, Jada Harris, Connor Christensen was here too. I did my best to keep the party going.
Give the people what they want.
I tried. I did my very best to give the people what they want, and they love it, and that's all that matters, honestly. So
it's true.
For those of you that do love the show, we appreciate your continued listenership, and we want to take a moment to remind all of you that you can listen to us right here from 7 to 8 a.m. Central live on Spreaker.com and on Periscope. Hi to everyone watching on Periscope. Great to see all of you. Sorry we've kind of got like a bust-up version of us this morning. It's just kind of how the we just have to sit up very straight this morning. I don't know. Anyway, we're glad to have all of you here with us this morning. We also are on social media as well. If you want to get a hold of us during the show, Sam is at Samuel_Wallace2. I'm at Baxter Colburn. Grant is at Grant's Rant BGSS. Our producer, Danny Hoffenstein, doesn't have a Twitter, so don't worry about tweeting at him. But you can tweet at the show as well, at BG Sports Show also. So a lot of things to get forward to today. We've got Chris Gibbons from Fansided.com coming on the show today to talk about the Big Ten. It was a bit of an awkward weekend in the Big Ten. Some people still aren't exactly sure what exactly is going on. I think Ohio State has got a new quarterback again. I don't even know if Ohio State knows exactly what's going on.
They could give any one of those quarterbacks to Wisconsin. I'd be okay.
Yeah. No, literally one of their 44 that they have on their team.
Just something.
Just give us one. Just give us.
All we want is one.
Exactly. All you need is love, or one, or both. If you love your quarterback.
Or a quarterback.
Either way, everyone's happy. So before we get to any of that Big Ten stuff, or we get to our new power rankings on the Bax and Grant Sports Show, we need to start in the NFL because there are the amount of undefeated teams has gone down a little bit. We saw Atlanta lose last on Thursday. So now there are just 5 undefeated teams right now. So I think we need to figure out right away, Sam, if we are buying or selling any of these NFL teams that are undefeated, because
that's fair.
There's so many different things that I feel that these teams have gone through in the first 5 to 6 games that some people are like, yeah, they're really good, and some they're just like, why are they still playing football?
Why? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
see. All right. So let's take a look and walk through it. Remember, if you have any comments or questions, tweet at us at BG Sports Show, at Baxter Colburn, at Samuel_Wallace2. Let us know your thoughts about what we're going through today. All right. So first one we got to start with, Sam, is the New England Patriots. They're 5-0. Looking pretty good, coming off that Sunday night victory against the Indianapolis Colts in the Deflategate Bowl. How do you feel about the Patriots?
I'm definitely buying. I know they've had their bye week already, and I think they're locked and loaded for the rest of the year. They're just going to keep rolling and doing what they do. Looking at their schedule, I really don't see too many glaring hiccups in their schedule that I think might upset them or ruin that perfect score. I could definitely see them rolling all the way to the playoffs and probably all the way to the end. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. I think that Tom Brady is on just a rampage to just make a statement saying, look, anybody that's ever been associated with the NFL, I just need to prove a point to you and show you that I am just mad. Just to put it nicely, he's mad. Yeah. He's very mad. Yeah, New England, I'm definitely buying what they're selling. The Cincinnati Bengals are 6-0, 3-0 at home, 3-0 on the road, 5-0 in conference. They have a plus 60 point differential. Andy Dalton, AJ Green, Jeremy Hill, and then it kind of gets a little awkward after that.
Giovanni Bernard, yeah. I know we've always talked about how Andy Dalton is a regular season champion. When he gets to the playoffs, the whole Bengals team just seems to forget how to play football.
Yeah.
And that very well could be the case, but for now I'm going to continue to buy. They got a solid defense. They're playing well, and Andy Dalton just keeps finding new ways to win. He's got a lot of great poise in the pocket, which has been fun to see.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. This Bengals team is looking fairly dangerous, regardless of how well or not A.J. Green has been producing on the field. Some of you that owned A.J. Green in the beginning of the year and then may have traded him for somebody else and now may have him reside on a different team, you're probably still feeling like you won or lost that trade because not much has really happened with A.J. Green since that time of the season. Through 6 games, so realistically, I don't know what to make of A.J. Green, but Cincinnati, I got to buy what they're offering right now. So
it was nice to see the Bengals not have to rely on A.J. Green, though.
It is, yeah, and I think that is the important part of it because in the past, had it just been A.J. Green just dominating, I'd be like, well, get rid of A.J. Green. Like, that's usually my biggest factor for most teams. It's like, well, if you got rid of this one player, would this team still be undefeated?
Yeah.
And Cincinnati's proven that Tyler Eifert and Mohamed Sanu and Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard and Andy Dalton and the defense can all step up.
Can get it done with or without A.J. Green, which is good to see that it doesn't just revolve around a single guy.
Yes, yep, absolutely. All right, looking here on the AFC West, the Denver Broncos are 6-0. The one thing about their record that blows my mind is that they're 4-0 on the road.
I mean, they're winning on the backs of their defense, which is huge. They're definitely no longer winning on the arm of Peyton Manning.
Yeah, it's been a little awkward, honestly. If you're a Broncos fan this year or you're a Peyton Manning fantasy owner, let's be honest, it hasn't been the greatest year for you.
Sure hasn't been.
It's just a little awkward, honestly, just because you're like, well, I drafted Peyton Manning. I thought,
It's Peyton Manning.
Yeah, and good, bad, or otherwise. Usually a bad game for Peyton was like, oh, I only threw for 300 yards and only threw for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, I threw for 1 touchdown, 100 and some yards, and 4 interceptions. It's like, okay.
But we still won.
So everyone's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, I'm not buying Denver. We'll see. I mean, they're on the bye week this week, and then they're going to match up, I think, at home with Green Bay here in 2 weeks. So that'll be a good.
They needed the bye week desperately.
Yeah, that'll be a good matchup of 2 6-0 teams. We'll see if it's as close as I'm hoping it's going to be.
Yeah, I'd have to sell on the Broncos also. Looking over to the NFC, only 2 undefeated teams remain: the Packers and the Panthers. It's funny to think that Arizona and Atlanta were undefeated just a short time ago. Now neither of them are even in the conversation, obviously, because of just how they've kind of
Arizona's
gone.
dropped 2 now.
Against the Landry Jones Steelers, that's just not something you do. Just not a good thing. All right, so the Packers, Sam, are you buying or selling that 6-0 Packers team?
Going to continue to buy only because they're heading into the bye week at this point. And
well done.
Thank you. And they're going to need that extra week to get guys healthy, especially on the offensive side and their wide receiving core. They're a little banged up, and the whole mantra of the Packers, it seems, ever since their Super Bowl win in 2011 has been next guy up, who's going to step up, who's going to fill in, who's going to make the big play when it counts. The Packers defense pretty much epitomized their defense over the last few years, which is we're going to bend literally as far as we can and still not break. We're going to make Phillip Rivers throw for 500 yards and still find a way to make it count at the end. So I'm going to continue to buy for them. A little biased, obviously, but yeah, I'll buy, and we'll see what happens moving forward with their injury and their offense.
Okay, well, I'm going to sell the Packers because the performance from the Green Bay Packers the last 3 games has me worried that this is a team that could lose for opening round of the playoffs.
True.
When you look at buying or selling a team, you think about the longevity of the season. You think about, well, is this team going to get by 2 or 3 games in January and February to look to maybe get to a Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
And that is really just something that I'm just struggling with right now. I just think that Green Bay as a whole has a lot of things that could go really well their way, but the fact that Aaron Rodgers has struggled severely the last 2 or 3 weeks is worrisome for me as a Packers fan, and just I think is why I have to sell them for now.
I definitely agree with your points there. I mean, they're not boding a whole lot of confidence to fans and to ownership and things like that. But for me, the continuous X factor is Aaron Rodgers. And whenever you have Aaron Rodgers playing at the top of his game like he is right now, you will always find a way to be in contention to make plays and to make a win.
Yep, exactly. When Rodgers is playing well, the team as a whole plays well. And we've seen him not play exceptionally well the last few games, and therefore the defense struggled. The rest of the team as a whole kind of struggled as well. So, I'm definitely selling the Packers. Sam, you're buying them. Last undefeated team, the Carolina Panthers, are 5-0. They just went to Seattle and beat Seattle, only the second team to do that in the last 3 years. I believe the Dallas Cowboys were the last team that went to Seattle and won a game. But at the same time, my argument against that, though, is that Seattle's the team that you're kind of supposed to beat this year because Seattle's 2-4. That doesn't carry a lot of weight anymore like it would have last year or the year before that. So what do you do with this Carolina team?
I mean, yes, Seattle is 2-4, but going into this game, they were undefeated at home. They were 2-0 at home this year before they played the Panthers, and I'm going to continue to buy the Panthers. I think Cam Newton has really gone from he's really developing into more of a complete quarterback instead of just the guy who can maybe sling a few touchdowns and make some good plays with his feet. He's really developing into a guy that his last 2 drives in the fourth quarter, they marched 80 yards down the field on the road in Seattle, which is still a tough place to play.
It is, regardless.
Regardless of what the record of the Seahawks is, that is going to be always a tough place to play. And the fact that he mounted 2 80-yard drives in the fourth quarter and just was unfazed, caught a few breaks, I'll give him that, but he did recognize that there was some confusion going on in the Seahawks defense on that last touchdown pass to Greg Olsen. And
that was a perfectly thrown ball. I mean, Greg Olsen slid through the defense and made a great play.
Yeah, that was a really good veteran notice by Cam Newton, I feel, that he picked up on some inconsistencies and some uneasiness in the Seahawks defense, and he pegged him right where it hurt, and that's what made the difference.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, the Legion of Boom looks a little deflated, unfortunately. The Carolina Panthers, for me, I'm going to have to buy them right now purely because of, yes, I know that they beat what was 2-3 Seattle team, but Carolina as a whole has made a lot work with has made it look really good with not a lot to work with.
Yeah.
Greg Olsen is doing a fairly good job. The running game of Carolina is kind of Cam Newton and maybe Jonathan Stewart. Wide receiver-wise, they lost Calvin Benjamin coming into the season, so Cam has had to throw the ball somewhere, but they've still found ways to win games despite the odds.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they've beaten Jacksonville and Houston and New Orleans and Tampa, but this team is still averaging over 20 points a game, 25 points a game, really. So they look good going forward. They've got a few other interesting games coming up as well. But, yeah, I'm going to have to buy what they're selling right now because I think we'll get a better picture, though, after they play Philly, Indianapolis, and Green Bay as well. So let us know your thoughts about that, though. Let us know if you are buying or selling the teams that we are talking about. You can go on Twitter and hit us up at BG Sports Show. I'm at Baxter Colburn, and Sam is at Samuel_Wallace as well. We are going to step aside for a break. When we come back, who do you love and who do you hate in the sports world? We're going to focus just on athletes that we love to hate. See what I did there, Sam? We'll be right back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
All right, Sam. Well, we've had a good show so far, but we have a topic that I feel that needs to be discussed. And in the sports world, you hear about guys like Tim Tebow and Johnny Manziel and Michael Jordan and LeBron James, and the list can go on and on and on. Mm-hmm. And usually when you talk about those things, it's usually people referencing things that of players that you hate. But for some reason, the sports world has come to this pinnacle time where there are players that it is you love to hate. You don't hate them because, they play for your rival team. You hate them because of who they are in general, like in the sports world.
Yeah.
So we've put together a small list of players that we love to hate, and I feel are just kind of shared as a whole across the sports industry as you don't like this person, well, I don't like this person either. So
Whether or not you're actually a big sports fan, generally
Exactly.
you happen to know the name of these
Yes,
people.
yep,
So.
absolutely. So I've got 5 different people on my list here. I don't know how many you've got on
Grabbed
yours.
a couple. So.
Okay, fair enough. I think we've got a few shared ones, so this will work out well. So the first one on both of our lists is Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
He's the type of player that you love to hate, regardless. I don't know if it would be if he played for different teams or different franchises that maybe were more successful, or if it's just his overall personality, the persona, the bad boy mentality that he has established on the football field, or what it is. But when you think of Ndamukong Suh, you're just like, he's just not a guy that I would ever really want to meet or spend a lot of time with, honestly.
No, and I think what's really funny, or not really funny, I guess maybe ironic about the whole situation, is everybody from fans to fellow players to other people in sports have all basically tabbed him as the NFL's dirtiest player, as the NFL's bad boy, regardless of where he's played, especially during his time in Detroit. But the only person who doesn't seem to think so is him. Never once has he really showed remorse for his actions or really apologized more than he's had to. He just says, I go out there and I make plays. I don't see what the big deal is. But, I can maybe understand that thought process for a little while. But when it continues to happen over and over again, and he's always the one getting slapped with fines and penalties and things like that, you got to wonder, is it him now? Or is he the one who just really needs to wake up and say, hey, I need to change the way I play the game?
Because I feel like after a while, you can tell whether or not it's just you, or if it's just people making fun of you. And this is something that has just continued and continued and continued. And it's at a point you almost have to stop and be like, maybe it is me. Maybe it's something I'm doing that is causing folks to get a little flustered and a little upset with who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Which I think is why he has come under so much fire during his career. Next player on our list is the man that you love to love, actually, if you're a Green Bay Packers fan, but you pretty much love to hate anywhere else in the NFL. That is Jay Cutler of the Chicago Bears.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Cutler is the type of guy where he's a great guy off the field. He's a terrific family man. He's really great with his off-field work, but when it comes to his on-field performances, you love to hate him because there's going to be something he's going to do during a game that's going to get messed up, that's going to cause the Bears to lose a game, that's going to be a costly interception.
Yep.
A few years ago, you heard Charles Woodson after the Packers-Bears game saying, we knew we were going to get at least one from Jay, referencing that he was going to get an interception from him. And it's kind of been his thing now, is like he's good for at least one pick a game.
I've heard from a lot of Packers. I'm not personally. I've heard in interviews from a lot of
wow.
I've heard in interviews from a lot of Packers players, and especially on the defensive side. And again, they're not saying it, disrespectfully or in a knocking way. I think they really just truly believe. They're like, yeah, we love playing Chicago because we know we're going to get a couple chances on defense.
Yep.
We just know. And
that's just kind of one of those things that happens sometimes, is you get into that rhythm with certain teams. When you play them, you're like, hey, we just know that Jay Cutler is good for at least one or
a couple chances. Yep.
Yeah, or sometimes a few years ago, you knew Adrian Peterson was good for maybe at least a fumble a game when he had his fumbling problem, and now it's kind of transitioned to Melvin Gordon. He's good for at least one.
Yep. And I think that's I think it really does hurt people like, Adrian Peterson when he had his fumbling problem, and Jay Cutler, because he has to know that those thoughts are out there.
Yeah.
So if he gets it into his own head that, hey, they know that they're expecting me to make a few mistakes a game, I think almost, unfortunately, that happens more often than not.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that one. More people here on our list for players that we love to hate in the sports world. Alex Rodriguez is the next one on my list.
There we go.
Take away the fact that he's had a very successful baseball career. People have always, even when he's been successful up until the point where he had this suspension this last season, he was just loved. People loved to hate him.
Yeah, I really think they did, especially, again, you can take away his on the field, off the field success, but at the end of the day, he still just kind of carries that stigma with him.
Just the way I think he carried himself as a person. Also, you just you would see him and be like, well, I don't really know if I wanna really enjoy what he does and on or off the field.
Yeah.
Another one on our list of players that we love to hate, Sam. You're venturing to the basketball world, and I have one as well. But I'd love to hear who you've got.
Yeah, my pick for the first guy I thought of was Dwight Howard, oddly enough.
Oh, really?
And I think it's more just me as a loose basketball fan, and actually when I was younger I used to be a lot more into basketball than I am now, professional basketball. I think maybe every elementary, middle school kid kind of goes through a big basketball phase regardless of what sport you're going to be in or play growing up. But at least from my perspective, Dwight Howard was always a guy who underperformed to a huge degree. He's just such a physical specimen when he plays down low. He's big, he's strong, he's incredibly athletic, but he could just never really seem to get his head in the game, and he always had other things to whine and complain about to his coaches.
Yeah, no, his contracts were always astronomically high, and you always thought, well, maybe he could finally do something. No, it just never really ended up. I mean, this last year with Houston, I thought that he kind of got his act together a little bit, but other than that...
especially when he played for the Orlando Magic with Stan Van Gundy. I mean, there were times that Stan Van Gundy would be, up on an interview, before or after shoot-around, and there were a number of times that Dwight Howard called out his coach and said different things like that, and then he would come up and be like, hey, coach, what's going on, and just make like a good face for national television, and everyone knows what's going on. So I just think he's always been a really potentially good big man in the NBA that has drastically underperformed throughout his career.
No, I'd have to agree with you on that one. I'm going to keep it in the NBA and go, and some people might yell at me for this, but I feel like the sports world loves to hate on anything negative that LeBron James ever does. Mm-hmm. Regardless of all the success he's had, all the endorsements of who he is as a person, anytime LeBron James makes any sort of small mistake or he misses a basket, for God's sakes, like who would miss a basket in basketball? That is just unheard of.
You get paid too much money to miss shots.
Basically is what people argue for that. But LeBron James is somebody that people love to hate, I feel like, just because, he can't make up his mind. Is he going to Miami? Is he going to Cleveland? Is he going somewhere else? Like, all the different debacles that go with it. And then, he had never won the big game. And then he went to Miami. He won because he had the supporting cast around him. He can't win it in Cleveland because he just doesn't have enough people. People are always looking for something negative to say about LeBron, regardless of who he is and what he's accomplished.
I remember watching LeBron in an NBA playoff game. It might have been a finals game, actually. I'd have to go back and check that for sure. But what you were just talking about, a memory came to mind is, I guess he's had, just chronic hamstring issues and things about, cramps in his legs and things like that. And there was a game where it was close, and then he ended up not being able to play or finish the game, and they lost, and people were giving him a ton of flack for that, saying, you're the best player in the league, you're our team captain, like, you need to be out there, you need to suck it up and tough it up and play through the pain. And I think that was like an initial reaction that a lot of times we have with big, great sports icons when they take a backseat to injuries. We almost expect them to be able to play through things like that.
Yes, and I'd agree with you on that one, especially with LeBron. It's like, well, you're Superman or King James. You're never supposed to have a bad game. You're never supposed to be human. And then when they are human for a second, then people freak out like, what is wrong with him? Something must be different. It's like, no, everyone's human. He's going to make a mistake.
He's hurt, things like that, especially going back to that hamstring issue. People had said, have you ever had, like, your whole leg just lock up? Like, you can't play.
Yeah.
You can't make it up and down the court. There's no longer just, like, a lack of toughness at that point, in my opinion. It's really just his body just shutting down. And like you said, no matter what physical condition he's in, he's going to have problems like that every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why people love to hate on LeBron, but it is someone. And then my last one on my list is people love to hate anybody that is ever associated with the Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns.
It's just the franchise. I think as a whole.
I cannot believe you pulled the card on the Cleveland Browns.
I had to because everybody, myself included at times,
there it is,
loves to hate on anything Cleveland, especially the Browns. Because let's be honest, the Browns are kind of just the traditional punching bag, laughing stock goat of the NFL world.
Yeah. It's true.
If Aaron Rodgers were to go to the Browns, would that change the persona of the Browns? No, probably not. Just because it's the Browns.
It's just the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, their name is the Browns, and they're orange. That's their first problem. I know you're slightly colorblind.
I can't tell. I thought they were always brown.
No, it's like an orange, like a dark orange.
My whole life has been a lie. I cannot believe this.
Did you have anybody else on your list at all before we finish up players we love to hate?
I guess my last one quick that I remembered while we were talking about it here was former baseball player Manny Ramirez.
Oh, okay.
And I can kind of lump him, in my opinion, into the same category as Dwight Howard, as someone with just incredible natural ability and a lot of natural gifts in the field when he played in the outfield, but just so many times he would underperform, he'd whine about his contract, things like that.
That's what you're supposed to do, right? It's just whine and whine and whine.
And try to get more money. But there was a classic play that I'll always remember of him when I was at home watching baseball when I was younger with my dad. And there was like a routine fly ball hit out to left field. And, it was going to drop in for a hit, but it bounced, it kind of rolled into the corner. And all of a sudden, you can just see Manny Ramirez just jogging his way over, grabs the ball.
Not a care in the world.
I think he ended up turning. I think the guy that hit it ended up turning like a stand-up triple into what should have been like maybe a sliding double, if Manny had showing a little bit of effort. But that, for me, like, that image just really personifies him.
Yeah.
As someone who just, again, vastly underperformed and should have really done a lot more with his career than he did. Did a lot of great things. Had a lot of great games, but overall, I think, in my opinion, just lacking.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you on that one. We had Corey on Twitter tweet at us. He said the thing that made him mad about LeBron James was that he was out 5 minutes and then was fine after that. Well, sometimes with the hamstring issues, you need just a few moments to get out, let your body recover, and then you can move on from there, and life is okay. And I'm definitely guilty of that before. I've had foot injuries and legs and knees and everything else during soccer games, and sometimes I just need 5 or 10 minutes on the sidelines just to get my act back together and let my body come back down from the high that it's on.
I mean, I can see
and
that.
then I'm good and I can get back out there and be just fine.
And kind of in regards to what Corey had said on Twitter, it's like, I understand that, you were upset with, he was out, then he was fine 5 minutes after that. But like you said, sometimes at that level of competition, your body just spazzes a little bit. You're under a lot of stress. You're playing whole games. And like you said, you just need your body to calm down a little bit. You can get back in and do it. But
no, absolutely.
Regardless of it, I mean, it's his decision to make, and we're just going to have to kind of live with whatever calls these athletes decide to make.
Yep, I completely agree with you on that one. All right, well, we are going to step aside for a break. When we come back, Chris Gibbons of Fansided.com is here for his weekly Big Ten Roundup to find out what happened in the week, this last one of the Big Ten, and what is coming up as well in Ohio State's quarterback situation, and who knows whatever else might transpire. We'll find out. We'll be right back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
All right, Sam. Well, we have the pleasure of being joined by Chris Gibbons of Fansided.com to chat about the Big Ten as he has done the last few weeks for us. So good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. We're excited to
Doing
have you back
well,
on the show, and I'm going to just be that guy and jump straight to it and ask you what you feel about Michigan's punter after that heart-stopping loss to Michigan State.
That was unlike anything I've ever seen before. Like, the only other thing that immediately came to mind was from 2 years ago, the Auburn-Alabama kick six.
Yep,
I remember that.
That was just an insane game. And you have to feel bad for the guy, too. And I was looking at it because I was a punter in high school and college a little bit. And you can diagnose what went wrong. And people can say, well, it must have been the snap. Maybe just the pressure was there. With 6 seconds were left on the game clock when the ball was snapped, I think, something of that nature. And you're just like, well, it should have been fairly routine, but even still, with the game on the line, and they're like, well, why did the punter try to run with the ball, and why did he try to... It was just a hot mess overall, and just kind of is probably going to go down as one of the wildest finishes to ever happen, honestly, and probably one of the games of the year as well in college football. So Michigan, going forward from here, how do they recover from a weird loss like that? Do they dwell much on it, or just say, look, guys, it was a fluke, let's just move on and get on to our next game we got coming up?
I think they just have to move on. Jim Harbaugh in the immediate aftermath said, "We played winning football. We just didn't get the result," which I think
that's a fair statement.
I think that's a very fair statement, honestly. I mean, you hold one of the best teams in the country to, what was it, 20? I'm spacing out how many points it was. Gosh, what was the final score of that game now?
20.
Was it? Oh, wow. Good Lord. Well, either way, they held them. They held them to 27 points. Yeah, 27 to 23 was the final score in that game. You hold one of the best teams in the country to under 30 points. That a Michigan State team that's been doing fairly well with scoring touchdowns this season, and so that you have to take that positive away. You led for most of the game as well for Michigan.
Well, yeah. Michigan State led for exactly 0 seconds of the game.
Well, see, there you go.
They crossed the line as the
so they never
was
technically,
down.
Led in the game, which I'm sure probably hasn't happened in the sports world in a long time, where you never.
Ever.
Yeah, exactly. That's I think how this rivalry is basically summed up. Is like, well, let's just throw it all out there and see what happens. So Michigan, they've got a bye this week, which would be nice. They can recover a little bit. Michigan State takes on Rutgers. Rutgers, not terribly worried about how Michigan State is gonna do with them. Honestly, did I or maybe
Ohio State's playing?
I'm
Rutgers.
sorry, Ohio. I got my states mixed up here.
Michigan State's playing Indiana.
That's what it is. I saw the Reds, and they're
dwellers.
like right next to each other in my thing, and I confused the states. I'm sorry. I had one job. Either way, so Michigan State plays Indiana this week. The Hoosiers, wrong sport. Is there anything at all in this game that Michigan State fans need to be worried about?
I don't think so. Last week, Indiana played Rutgers, and Indiana was the first team of the season to have a 25-point lead and blow it.
Oh, wow.
And Rutgers is not a good football team. They have Carew, their star wide receiver, and that's about it. I mean,
how do you blow a 20? Wow.
Yeah.
It's college football, I guess, so I'm not.
Why they play.
That was the most stereotypical thing you could have ever said. That's why they play the game. Well, yes.
Duh.
Exactly. Thank you, Sam.
That's
all
what
right.
I'm here for.
Back to you, Chris.
That's my one job.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, Michigan State, Indiana this week. Michigan State. It's at Michigan State, East Lansing. I'm not terribly worried about State having any big issue with that one. Let's talk about Ohio State. Let's talk about the quarterback issue. J.T. Barrett has now been named the starting quarterback, which I felt most people thought they knew was coming.
Yeah.
But Ohio State is still also undefeated last time I checked. So why is there such a huge quarterback issue?
This is crazy. Cardale Jones is 10-0 as his record.
That's a pretty good resume in my book.
Yeah, he's healthy. And he's getting benched on the number one team.
Makes sense.
This is ridiculous, and it makes sense because J.T. Barrett has been playing better. I mean, I kind of thought this was gonna happen with Ohio State.
How do you have an undefeated
talent.
team and just sit? Sorry, continue.
You've got so much talent at quarterback. You have so much talent that one of your quarterbacks is playing wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of thought that maybe a controversy would arise. I mean, I think any team outside of a select few would scoop up Cardale Jones if they had the chance, but you got to play the guy who's playing better, and that's been J.T. Barrett.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with you on that one. J.T. Barrett has accounted for 7 off-the-bench touchdowns over the past 2 weeks. That's insane. If that was the college basketball world and you had a guy coming off the bench and dropping I don't even know what that equivalent would be. 20 points basically a week off the bench? That would be insane. Absolutely insane. So as great as it is for J.T. Barrett and company that he's going to be starting this week, hopefully Urban Meyer's got a method to his madness. Let's take a look at the standings for both the East and the West in the Big Ten. Michigan State in the East is atop with a 3-0 conference record. Ohio State is 3-0. Michigan is 2-1. Penn State is 2-1. They lost this last week. Ohio State. They lost to Ohio State. That's who it was. Looking over on the other side in the West, Iowa is 7-0.
Yeah.
What is up with Iowa right now?
That's crazy. I don't know if anyone expected this. I kind of thought Minnesota might take the division. Because of their defense, but that hasn't worked out.
They're 1-2 right now.
They've had a lot of problems there. But just I thought maybe because Nebraska and Wisconsin are going through the coaching changes.
Yeah, and I get that.
I don't think they might go on top, but I didn't expect Iowa. I kind of associate Iowa with like they're okay, like
they're an okay.
They'll go 7-5, 8-4 during the regular season.
Slide into a bowl game.
More than likely. Don't you need 6 wins to get to a bowl game? So they might as well take the rest of the season off. Like, we're good.
Like, I don't see anyone else taking the Big Ten West. Iowa's already played probably their toughest competition. Wisconsin, they've beaten. Illinois, they've beaten.
Yep. And they didn't beat Wisconsin by that much. They only beat them 10-6. So it's not like it was a blowout game, but
they blew out Northwestern,
which has been the surprise team, I feel like, of the West this year. Northwestern has done a good job of staying relevant, honestly. And, you know, if you're an Iowa Hawkeye fan, like you mentioned, it's more than likely a good thing that you're going to end up winning the West, but you're going to still have to deal with either Michigan State, or Ohio State in that championship game, which 9 times out of 10, I'm going to take one of those 3 teams
for sure
over Iowa. So unless there's ever some, like, Big Ten standings restructuring system, the West, in my opinion, is always going to be weaker than the East. And maybe that's just where the teams are located, obviously, but could maybe swing things around a little.
And you've got Penn State. I mean, they've struggled a little bit, but they're traditionally a great football power. I mean, so I'd probably you take those 4, and usually one of those 4 is going to take even against a Wisconsin or a Nebraska.
Yes. Yep. No, I completely agree with you on that one. All right. Well, Chris, before we let you go, what other exciting storylines do fans need to keep an eye on moving forward, coming to either this coming week of action or just once teams return off their bye week?
I mean, this week there's not a whole lot. I think this is going to be the make or break week for Nebraska and Northwestern play each other. And Northwestern's lost their past 2 to very good teams. They've got to beat Nebraska. Nebraska's, they've got 4 losses, but they're heartbreaking losses.
Yeah. They just have had the worst luck this season, which is, you got to feel for them. But, I mean, I've never liked Nebraska, so whatever.
Yeah, so I think that's a game that both teams really have to win to keep their season's hopes up. Other than that, there's not a whole lot. I mean, Ohio State's playing Rutgers. That should be no problem. Michigan State, Indiana, Penn State, Maryland. Maryland's not a good team. Wisconsin and Illinois might be interesting.
That could be interesting, yeah. I mean, that's the battle between 2nd and 3rd in the West in the Big Ten. But aside from that, there's not a whole lot that's really going on. And Wisconsin as a whole, I feel like, could be an entire segment within itself because they have had so many positives, so many negatives. You know, like the new coach this year has done okay, I feel like, but I haven't been completely sold on what's going on with running backs, with Joel Stavi, and a lot of different things. But I'm curious to get your opinion about this, Chris, and also Sam as well. I was listening to the Badger game this last weekend, and they were talking during the game that Paul Chryst and just the offense as a whole for Wisconsin told Joel Stavi to throw more interceptions. And it wasn't saying we want you to go out and purposely throw interceptions. They were saying it from the perspective that they want him to go out and take more chances and try to fit the ball into tighter spaces, which unfortunately does lead to interceptions sometimes. But they said they want him to be okay with that because they want him to test what he's capable of doing. If you were a quarterback and you had your coach come up to you and say, I want you to throw more interceptions, I want you to get more, risque with your throws, how would you take that going forward?
I mean, it's an interesting phrasing, I would say. I completely understand, and I would agree with that. If you've got a quarterback and you're trying to see what he can do, you want to, maybe not play it safe, not just do all the checkdowns and stuff. You want to air it out and really see if that's an element to the game you can add.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you.
Saying throw more interceptions, I hope he doesn't dwell too much on that and just throw these wild passes. But if it gets him just airing it out, and if it works, I mean, it's a good plan.
I think from a fan's perspective, it's one of those things where looking at Joel Stavi, I don't really think he can get worse at this point. I think honestly, though, I think we've just come to expect that, yeah, he's good for maybe a touchdown a game, might do a little bit with his feet, but then he's going to throw picks. That's just what's going to happen. So for him to just, stand tall in the pocket and just try to make some throws, I really think only good can come of it. I think it'll really maybe help boost his confidence and his confidence in himself and his ability level, and also just build a little bit more rapport with his receiving core and his running backs and tight ends and things like that. So it's true. I think he needs to start slinging the ball around and just to see what happens, because at this point he's not getting it done playing the way he's playing right now, which is pretty conservative. So
All right. Well, I appreciate both of you guys' insight on that. Chris, always a pleasure, sir. We look forward to having you on again next week. So if you do enjoy the Big Ten, you can tweet at the show at BG Sports Show. You can tweet at Chris as well, which is at Chicken McGibble, right?
That is right.
You got to change your Twitter, honestly. You got to make it a little bit easier for the people out there. If not, just search for Chris Gibbons on Twitter and you'll find him, and
You'll
just
find
make your
him.
life that easier that way. Anyway, Chris, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for stopping by. We'll see you again next week. We are going to jump to a break. When we come back, our new Bax and Grant Sports Show Power Rankings are out, and we have some more shifting, some changing, some craziness, and we'll see who came out on top and where the rest of the teams all kind of fall in. So you're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Sam doesn't know when the mics are unmuted, apparently. You all right, Sam?
My bad.
That happens.
Just so excited. I was like, there we go. We're back.
It's like Danny was counting us down. And you're like, ah! And just,
I wasn't ready for that.
this is why you wait for the producer to give you the hand signal, and then you go.
Got it. We're ready. We're good.
Oh, gosh, the wonderful world of the Bax and Grant Sports Show is never a dull moment, which is why we have our new power rankings out as voted on by the Bax and Grant Sports Show staff. Yes, that transition just made it from over there
No segue.
to here.
Zero.
I've been due for a good segue recently, and it's fine. Yeah, exactly. Save on gas. Or save on postage. I'll poison him with this. Brilliant. All right, looking in for the Bax and Grant Sports Show
Don't get me
power
started.
rankings. We're
Don't
not going to
do
go
it.
with Emperor's New Groove quote hour. Looking in, receiving their token vote every week, which we know who voted for them, because let's be honest, nobody else votes for them. The Minnesota Vikings got their one token vote that they get every week
Thanks, Connor.
from Connor. So thank you, Connor, for that. But also coming in the outside looking in is the Philadelphia Eagles. They got 6 points. First time that they have been featured, except for the opening week of play. They were number 8 in our preseason power rankings.
All right.
Aside from that, the Eagles have yet to receive really any love. So go Eagles, I guess. People are kind of taking notice of
throw
the
on
3-3 Eagles are doing.
Throw on the black uniforms and go whip up on the Giants, and you'll get some votes.
Hey, when you
apparently.
can whip a Nene on Monday Night Football,
on national television.
that's what gets me going every day, I
Do
guess.
whatever you want.
Absolutely. All right. Number 10, Sam, who we got?
Coming in at number 10 is the Buffalo Bills, breaking back into the rankings.
With 7 total points. The
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills have not been in our power rankings since week 3.
Yeah, they were as high as number 7, and then promptly decided to drop out of being relevant. And even though they lost this week, it was nice to see them break.
I was a
back
little
into the-
surprised, honestly.
yeah. Enough people like the Bills, apparently.
Go Bills. Number 9 on the Bax and Grant Sports Show power rankings is the Michael Vick list, Ben Roethlisberger list, Landry Jonesing Pittsburgh Steelers.
Martavis Bryant has been a huge godsend for them on the offensive side.
Exactly. Yeah, 26 total points for them in our power rankings. They were not in the rankings last week or the week before. They were number 9 back in week 3. Number 8, Sam.
Coming in at number 8 is the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh,
with
this team
32
is just
points.
fallen hard.
It's too bad.
They've just fallen hard. They've been as high as number 3 in our power rankings and now are as low as 8.
Yeah.
Ouch.
We'll see what happens. They might promptly fall out of the rankings with another loss coming into this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I would not be surprised by it. Our number 7 team, which is a little surprising to me because I voted for them higher than this, but however, the masses of the Baxton Grand Sports Show staff, when it came to voting, did not agree with me.
Yeah.
Number 7 is the New York Jets with 35 points. I feel like the Jets should be higher, personally.
Why is that?
Because they're 4-1 and they're actually looking like a complete product. Their defense is playing well. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Chris Ivory, Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker. They're all looking like really solid players going forward. And I think that they
have
could
a lot
do
of
better.
talent on that team.
Yeah.
I think Brandon Marshall is having actually one of his better fantasy seasons in playing for the Jets than he ever was having with Chicago.
Yeah,
so.
well, I mean, having not Jay Cutler helps with that, too.
It's true.
All right, number 6.
Coming in at number 6 is the Atlanta Falcons.
Ooh, they've fallen another spot. They were 5 last week, down to 6 this week, 36 total points. So I can see the Jets and the Falcons were close. They were duking it out, but
duking it out for that spot.
Atlanta, they lose to the Saints on Thursday Night Football and now go to 5-1. But is Atlanta still a team that you can trust going forward, Sam?
I think so, simply based on the easiness of their schedule moving forward. I really think that they're going to win more than they're not going to win, and for that reason, they're going to remain a contender in the NFC in a very weak division.
All right, our number 5 on our new power rankings here on the Baxton Grand Sports Show, a team that just needs to stop playing football, in my opinion, except for their defense, because their defense is really nice in fantasy. Irrelevant, anyway.
Yeah.
With 49 points, the 5th place team is the Denver Broncos.
They jumped a spot.
They did.
And they jumped 11 points in this.
How do you jump a spot by beating the Browns in overtime? That should be an odd. I think I put Denver at
Defense.
Yeah, but Peyton Notting.
Decaf.
Yeah.
Decaf. The old Peyton Manning commercial? Come on.
Oh, yeah. I was
there
like,
we go.
I do remember that. I'm sorry. That was like, he was a Colt back then, I think. So that was, I put those days behind me. So Denver is the 5th team in our power rankings. Our number 4 team, the first time
coming in,
they have ever ventured to the 4th spot.
Yeah, just high up in the rankings with 60 points to the Carolina Panthers.
Woo!
And I think that they made a statement going up to Seattle and winning in the way that they did, and just really putting it to Seattle in the 4th quarter with two great drives to really put the game away.
Yep, I'd agree with you on that one. Our number 3 team on the Baxton Grand Sports Show that have dropped significantly. They've dropped from Week 4 to Week 5, now to Week 6. They keep dropping down a spot, regardless of the fact that they keep winning. Who is that, Sam?
It's the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, the Green Bay Packers have dropped down to 3rd. They received 0 first-place votes, the first time in the history of the Baxton Grand Sports Show Power Rankings that they have not received a first-place vote. So
yeah,
it's the fact of, I think, what Phillip Rivers did to the defense.
Their defense
is what really got me.
Torn apart.
You can't stay in a top 2 spot in our power rankings. The
not
illustrious,
these
high-class, not biased ESPN
these
power rankings.
These are some real power rankings here.
And I think maybe the reason Green Bay finished in 3rd is because Grant didn't vote this week.
That's probably true.
Because Grant always stuffs the ballot box with Packer votes.
It's true.
Fun fact.
They
for
probably
would
have. They probably would have outpaced our 2nd place team coming in at number 2, the highest ranking they've ever had. Beating them by 1 point is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Woo! Andy Dalton and company's looking pretty good. They're 6-0. They feel fairly confident going forward, Sam.
And they look like it too. I know we kind of keep waiting for them to mess up or to screw up or to do something.
It's only a matter of time.
Traditionally Bengal-like, but they keep putting up good numbers and good complete performances every week.
I agree with you on that one. All right, and our number 1 team receiving 9 first-place votes and 90 points overall for the 2nd week in a row is the New England Patriots.
I don't know what else you really want to talk about for the Patriots. I mean, they're
playing good.
They're looking like a complete package.
They didn't fall for the fake punt, Sam, which automatically makes them the best team in the NFL.
I almost fell for that. I don't know what I was thinking, but
I'm
glad the Patriots were smarter than I was.
Someone's got to do it, Sam. I appreciate what you do, but sometimes,
I know.
We all have our moments.
Sometimes.
All right, well, Sam, run us through our top 10 one more time before we head off to a break.
Sure. Looking from the very bottom, looking in, receiving their token vote, the Minnesota Vikings, along with 6 points for the Philadelphia Eagles. Then breaking into the top 10, the Buffalo Bills. Number 9, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 8, the Arizona Cardinals. Number 7, the New York Jets. Number 6, the Atlanta Falcons. Number 5, the Denver Broncos, who we're going to say again jumped a spot, oddly enough. Number 4, making the biggest leap this week, was the Carolina Panthers. Number 3, making their biggest drop, has been the Green Bay Packers. Number 2, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the stranglehold on the number 1 position has been taken over by the New England Patriots.
You could say they've deflated the number 1 spot and held on to it tightly.
That was nice. I think they're going to continue to hold that spot until they lose, honestly. I don't think if anybody else wins, they're going to jump over that.
Yep, it would take a lot for me to say that Cincinnati or Green Bay is better than New England and the entire product that they've got. So, all right, well, let us know your thoughts. You can get us up on Twitter at BG Sports Show, at Baxter Colburn, at Samuel_Wallace2, and let us know your thoughts on our new power rankings. Your second consecutive power ranking number 1 team is the New England Patriots. Green Bay, for all of you Midwesterner fans, drops all the way to 3rd. So we are going to go to a break. I enjoy coffee, Sam. Do you enjoy coffee?
I don't.
You don't?
Which is why I'm probably going to step out.
Wow. Well, when you come back, and when I come back, we're going to talk about coffee, but from an NFL perspective. We'll be right back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax. Sam Wallace was here this morning, but he had to take off as he does every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the final segment to go and do that whole school academic thing. So I'm just going to be rolling solo here. Our producer, Danny Hoffenstein's in the studio with me, too, if he feels so inclined to jump on the mic, which he occasionally does. He's kind of like that jazz performer that comes on the mic real fast to introduce the next song and then just lets his music and his expressions just emanate throughout the room. He's just a very soft-spoken man, unless you're talking about Pokemon or Star Wars or anime or any of those other things that tickle his fancy. You can always ask him about his fantasy football team as well. So, all right, well, before we go, I want to take a quick moment to highlight a story that I found slightly humorous. Marshawn Lynch has teamed up with Starbucks to create a beast mode Frappuccino. For those of you out there that are Starbucks goers, sorry, there's an S, it is part of the name, and it's just automatically plural. Starbucks, you know that they have the new cotton candy and the creme brulee, caramel, basic white girl, whatever frappe, pumpkin spice yumminess that they've got out there. Anyway, I just needed to, you have to, when you talk about Starbucks, you have to mention the basic white girl at least one time. Anyway, so Starbucks and Beast Mode now have come together on a partnership to do a donation to Marshawn Lynch's foundation per a new drink that he made. So the new drink is called Beast Mode, obviously, because what else would it be called? I was thinking maybe they'd call it Skittles or something, or maybe it would be Skittles flavored, but it's not. They went for Beast Mode, which is totally fine. It's a double mocha frappuccino with mint, cream, and protein powder, topped with whipped cream, purple berry drizzle, and matchata, which sounds like a dance move. Matchata. Anyway, I think I've danced that once or twice with my wife on the ballroom floor. Matchata. It's bachata. Anyway, either way, that's what the new frappe detailed Beast Mode is called. And Starbucks says that they will donate up to $100,000 to Marshawn Lynch's foundation via the 24 cents donated per drink sold in stores in Washington State, Oakland, and Oakland, California. The Seattle-based company will also kickstart the campaign with an initial $24,000 donation as well. So the limited edition drink will reportedly be available October 22nd through the end of the season. And when I was looking at this, so I think that that's actually kind of cool that that's just one way that Marshawn and company want to get out and promote their what they do and helping out with their foundations. But one thing I found interesting was that there are other athletes that have had drinks named after them. Some seriously, some not. There's an article I found from a few years back. I'm not going to say all of them on the air because I like my job and I would like to stay that way. But there's a few that I found humorous that I found that a website named The Sports Pickle decided to go and do. So there was drinks named after athletes and how to make them. These are obviously just jokes, but these are fairly funny as well and have to reflect them as their personality. Obviously, people know about the Arnold Palmer. That's a real one. It's been named after the golfer Arnold Palmer. One of the ones that I thought was fairly interesting, though, was the John Daly, the golfer, pour 14 cans of Busch Light into a bucket and then garnish with chicken wings. I thought that one was pretty good, honestly. Another one that I found great was Rex Ryan. If you wanted to drink a Rex Ryan, you just deep fry a can of Bud Light. Just get right to it. Another one was the Peyton Manning. Attentively take the customer's drink order, then serve him something different of your choosing based on what you can read on his face and the formation of the other drinks on the bar. I thought that one was pretty good. Some of you know about Greg Oden and just how painful of an NBA career that he had. And they said that you would fill a 24-ounce highball glass, mix all the finest top-shelf liquors, then smash the glass right before your customer even has a chance to taste it. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of how it is as well. Let's see, what is another one that I can say? Because there's some funny ones, but like I said, there's things that you should not be mentioning on the air. The Alexander Ovechkin I thought was a great one. Add one complimentary unnecessary shot of vodka to any drink. Just one shot of vodka, because the Russians, what are you going to do, obviously? Aside from the Tim Tebow one was pretty good as well. Fill a pint glass with vodka, now set aside for sterilization for different things that happen when you're newborn, and then pour a glass of ice water and serve. So, yeah, that one was rather interesting. But anyway, some of these things were pretty great. But the deep-fried one for Rex Ryan, a can of Bud, and then the Bud Light, or the 14 cans of Busch Light into a bucket, and garnished with chicken wings for John Daly, I thought were great. So if you have any drinks that maybe you experience in your hometown for, I know people have like the Rothless Burger and other food named after athletes, but it's funny sometimes to hear what people are doing. So you hear about this new thing with Starbucks. So if you happen to be in Washington State or you happen to be in Oakland, California, why not go and try the Beast Mode drink from Starbucks and maybe tweet at us and let us know what your thoughts are. So just want to take a moment as we sign off to thank all of you for listening in, and also to Chris Gibbons for his Big Ten football conference talking that he did here today on the show, as he does every Wednesday on the Baxter and Grant Sports Show. Also, a special thanks to Sam Wallace as well for his insights, as he does so wonderfully well on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on the Baxter and Grant Sports Show. Our producer has been Danny Hoffenstein, so a special thanks to him for making the show run smoothly. And we also want to take a moment to remind all of you that you can get us right here on Spreaker.com and on Periscope from 7 to 8 a.m. Central. and also get us on sportsradioamerica.com from 11 to 1 p.m. Central Time on Live 365 and TuneIn, and on demand anytime you want on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and on Spreaker.com. And then on social media, I know we've said it a lot today, but you can get us on Twitter, which is where we love to interact with you guys. Get me at Baxter Colburn. Sam is Samuel_Wallace2. Grant is at Grant's Rant BGSS, and our show is at BG Sports Show as well. So, once again, for Chris Gibbons, Sam Wallace, and our producer Danny Hoffenstein, I am Baxter Colburn. We'll see all of you again tomorrow. Grant's back, and it's going to be rantier than ever. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. This is the Baxter Grant Sports Show.